Blue Hose with Coach Harold Nichols. Come on up.
Well, thank you. Everybody hear me okay? So glad to be here with you, celebrating football here in Lawrence County. Got a pretty good contingent of folks here with me. Got Coach Bob Strike, brought the voice of the Blue Hose from way back in the day. Mr. Bill, glad to have you here with us. I've got a rose and a couple of thorns here. I got my daughter Cassie. I brought Ed Britt. Stand up there, Ed. Ed is a senior defensive back from Greensboro Page High School. Was a captain on his high school football team. They won the state championship his senior year. Dad played for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Was an all-conference player for us last year and preseason all-conference this year. Had a really good game up there against Miami of Ohio. Fine young man. All right, Ed. And then this is Ryan Bristow, called Ryan Tiny. Ryan is he's from High Point, North Carolina up there. He's a redshirt junior and plays right tackle for us. Played really well up there against Miami of Ohio. They had a preseason all-conference edge guy that thought Ryan did a great job against him, and we were able to have over 330 yards of offense. I thought a lot of it had to do with our offensive line. Ryan played really well, so I was able to get them out of class. Ed just got done with the sociology class at 11 o'clock, so I shoved him in the car with me and we ran over here. Don, so glad that you're here. Appreciate you taking the time to come over and visit with us. I know there's a lot of Clemson folks in the room that are excited about hearing what you have to say. We got to kick out here a little bit. I don't want you to be offended because we got to go have a walk through and get on a bus and head up to Charlotte. So, but we're just excited about being here with you. A little bit about the ball game last Saturday. We went up to Miami of Ohio, Cradle of Coaches. They've got this really nice area right there at the front of their stadium where they've got statues of Carmen Koza and Paul Brown, Bo Schembechler. It's really a nice mezzanine level deal that when you come in, it's really a nice venue to play in. Miami of Ohio is a storied program. I didn't quite know exactly what to expect. I know that Chuck Martin, their head coach, had come from Notre Dame. He was the quarterback coach under Coach Kelly over there, and this is kind of his second year in the program. Sure did have a really good-looking football team. I think we might have set a college football record for the number of penalties in a game. Fast forward, we get to the fourth quarter, and we're down 13-7 with about 12 and a half minutes to go. We had made enough mistakes the last three games. One of the things I think I told you when we came up here a couple of weeks ago as a coach, you're always worried about first ball games. Line of scrimmage errors, penalties, substitutions, turnovers, all those things that make it an ugly game. We sure did put the check mark in all those boxes, that's for sure. And it is encouraging from the standpoint, I think there are a lot of correctable mistakes that we can fix from game one to game two. I thought our kids played great, with a lot of effort, but you know, we were a stop and a drive there in the fourth quarter from upsetting an FBS team on the road, and so it's quite an effort by our players. I think they're disappointed, just as I am, that I think we let one slip away. Really do on the road. 5-6 years ago when we first started this thing, if you'd have told me that we'd have had Miami of Ohio in a one-score game in the fourth quarter, I'd have laughed at you probably. So it's good to be disappointed. A lot of credit goes to Miami of Ohio. They're an outstanding football team and deserve the win, that's for sure. So turn the page. We got Charlotte this week. This is Charlotte's initial FBS season. They're a full-fledged member in Conference USA with Louisiana Tech. Western Kentucky would just beat Vanderbilt. Upset special there, buddy. Marshall just beat Purdue at home. That's the league that they're in. They've got Temple would just beat Penn State. That's a really good level of football that they're playing. They've been ramping up their program now for this is their fourth year. They've got a lot of seniors and redshirt juniors, and they wore us out 2 years ago at home. Got a very talented offensive football team. They had 87, 88 plays against Georgia State and had over 450 yards of offense. So it'll be a big challenge for for our football team. But we're excited about going up to Richardson Field there at Charlotte, playing against the 49ers. It'll be our second FBS team of the year here to start off the season. Excited about 2 weeks from now, on September the 19th, we'll have our home opener. It'll be a night game at 7 o'clock against the Campbell Camels. And really excited about getting back home after being on the road here these first 2 weeks. But certainly do appreciate all the sponsors that make this happen, give us an opportunity to come over here and celebrate football every other week, and glad to be a part of this. I want to wish all the high school athletes and coaches good luck tonight. I'm your biggest fan, and always check y'all's scores, and really wish you the best for tonight. But appreciate you having us here, Greg, and like I say, Don, we're going to kick out here in a little bit, but really wish you guys luck tomorrow and against the Appalachian State Mountaineers. Okay? Thank you.
Appreciate that, Coach. I do want to make one special recognition. We have a special guest with us here today. Coach Nichols mentioned him, but one of the legendary play-by-play guys, gentleman that ran a high school score show for years that you heard all over South Carolina. We were talking at our last meeting that we thought that it would be great to have just a legendary football guy here with us, and we'd like to recognize Mr. Bill Hogan. And Mr. Hogan, we apologize that you have to live next door to Coach Strock, but we understand. We understand that.
Bill was there first.
All right, now we're going to move on to the Clinton Red Devils. Coach Webb.
We got some guys spread out through here. When I call your name, you guys stand up. We're coming off 2 losses. We've lost back-to-back weeks to Greer and Newberry, and there's been a common theme that our football team has struggled with, and we're kind of self-destructive at times. And they are very much aware of it. We are very much aware of it, and we are working very diligently to get it fixed. There's been a lot of positive things that we have done. We have just not been able to do them as consistently as we like. But we definitely know what we need to get better at, and we are working our butts off to do so. So I'm going to recognize the players of the week from Greer first. If you guys just stand up and sit back down when you're done. Tyson Evans. Tyson is the player of the week for Greer. He was our center. And Tyson did not get to play this past week versus Newberry. He will be back tonight, and we very much missed him. He did an outstanding job versus Greer. He is a senior, returning starter on the offensive line, and we're very proud of Tyson. Keith Neal was our next man up versus Greer. I don't know if Keith played any snaps of offense versus AC Flora in our first game. I saw Keith in AC Flora. He was on our kickoff return team, and he absolutely hammered a guy. Hammered him. And he comes off the field. I was excited for him. I said, man, Keith just hammered a guy. He comes over, and one of the coaches was like, man, let's put Keith in at H-back. I was like, no. I don't know if he's ready to play H-back yet. And I don't know if he heard me. I don't know if it got him upset. But, man, Keith's been on a mission. And, he probably played 30 to 40 snaps this past both of the previous 2 games. And he's going to continue to play, and he's done an outstanding job. He was our next man up versus Greer. Chris Holmes is a sophomore running back. He is our starting running back, and he versus Greer, he carried the ball 19 times to right at 100 yards. He has really responded and answered the bell and in his reign. Probably coming into the preseason, if we had to rank our running backs, I don't know where Chris would have ranked himself as far as just reps. You got to give somebody reps. We probably had him 3rd or 4th. And now he's our starting running back. He's doing fantastic, and we're real proud of him and the job he's done, especially as a sophomore. Chris Holmes. Tyreek Watts was our defensive player of the week versus Greer. We asked a whole lot out of Tyreek. Tyreek had 10 solo tackles on defense. Graded out, played outstanding for us. And he's going to be somebody that we're going to need to get pressure on the quarterback tonight playing with us. So Tyreek, that's our 4 players of the week versus Greer. Our players of the week versus Newberry, we have Tay Cook. Tay is 2 games in, he missed the first game coming back from a fractured ankle. This past week versus Newberry, he had 7 catches, 127 yards, and a touchdown. So, you know, when you hear those kind of numbers, I guess coming from a Clinton wide receiver, your eyes kind of pop. But he does a fantastic job when the ball's in the air. He also is a 3-year starter at corner for us, and he's doing fantastic things. George Rice. George Rice is a returning starter. He is also a senior defensive lineman. He had an outstanding game this past week. He had 8 solo tackles versus Newberry. Another kid that we play him up some, we play him down. He does everything that we ask him to do. And it's because of people with the attitudes like George and the rest of these guys that you see that makes me confident we're gonna get over the hump. We're gonna get over the hump. So, George Rice. Right here, Austin Francis was our special teams player of the week versus Newberry. He had the most special teams on every special team that we had. And he's also a starter at outside linebacker. But when you can count on somebody to play every play of special teams that you have and be consistent in what you do, that's a very important part of our team. And Austin is a junior. He had roughly 25 plays on special teams. He graded out and had a couple tackles. So real proud of Austin. And sophomore Taylor Bailey was our next man up versus Greer. And Newberry. Taylor played sparingly as a sophomore the first couple of games. And you know, he has now moved himself into a starting role through his work ethic, through his attitude, and the way he has executed when we've asked him to. So real proud of Taylor, and real proud of all these guys. So tonight we have another big challenge ahead of us. We play Woodruff. They're 2-0. They're another top 5 team in our state, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We know that. We know what we have up against us. Our guys have had a great week of preparation, and you know, we're thankful. Each day we end practice with a prayer. And, we have prayed and been thankful for the adversity that we have been given. And sometimes, you know, it's kind of like asking God for patience. You can't ask God for patience. He just gives it to you. You know, He gives you challenges for you to develop more patience. And that's kind of how we are as a football team. We're very thankful for the adversity that we've had, because we're getting, not only are we going closer as a football team, but we're getting better. So I'm real thankful for these 8 guys that you see. They're doing a fantastic job, and we hope to see you guys tonight in Garner State.
Thank you, Coach. All right, next up, Coach Liner with the Lawrence Raiders.
All right, I'm not going to take a whole lot of your time. Just be honest with you, right now we stink. And as you can see by my illustrious new haircut, I have not handled it very well. Not going to rehash the last 2 weeks. We don't give out Player of the Week awards when we lose. So I brought some guys here for different reasons. But if I rehash the events of the last 2 weeks, it'd make for some pretty good comic relief, but to me there's nothing funny about being 0-2. So I'm not going to. We've got beat. That's on me. We have found ways to do things that you just can't do as far as execution in the ball game, and you know, we've taken it on the chin. It's as simple as that. The 2 young men that I brought with me, and y'all both stand up because I could say the same about both of you. This is Alex Dawkins. Alex Dawkins is a senior linebacker for us. This is Lindsey Bell. Lindsey Bell is also a senior linebacker for us. I think these 2 young men right here care the most about our football team. And I don't know that I should single anyone out, and there's some other guys that are not in this room that care just as much. But I know that these 2 guys right here care about our football team in a way that you've got to care in order to get this thing going in the direction that we all want it to go. I wanted you to come here today to just all these people to know that, man, we love you guys, and you are everything that as a coach you want in a player. Not that you don't have ability. Alex has got a lot of ability. You'll see him playing tonight. Lindsey, you're a great teammate, son, and I love having you out there. He just plays on our kickoff return team. And that's it. It's not because of a lack of effort. It's not because he's scared of anyone. It's because, God blessed him in different ways. And but we're very fortunate to have the both of you on our football team. It's people like this that makes it the days when you're sitting in the barber chair at 8 o'clock in the morning, knowing that your wife is not going to talk to you for a week, saying just cut it all off. It makes those days bearable. Okay, so I appreciate you guys very much. Tonight we got our first home game. We're excited about that. We got the Maryland Mavericks coming in. Coach Lee Taylor is an outstanding person and a very good football coach. I like the way they do things. We all do very much. It should be a good class game against two similar opponents. We're very similar offensively and defensively. And it's time for us. And I'll tell you the same thing that I told our team guys and ladies yesterday. It's time for us to quit talking. There's been enough said. It's time for us to start walking, and we're excited about having the opportunity to do that tonight.
Coach. All right, Coach Kirk, Lawrence Academy Crusaders.
Thank you so much. Appreciate, again, the Touchdown Club. I was in Johnson City last night. I shared with Harold that, and I've shared this before, I love to travel, I love to drive, and I travel a lot during any football season. I was in Johnson City last night watching Maryville College play East Tennessee State. East Tennessee State has started their football back. The majority of you already know that, I'm sure. My son is a graduate assistant coach at Maryville College, so obviously I'm going to try to follow him wherever. So we ended up in Johnson City last night. And at one point, let me say this, before the ball game started, it looked as though the field would tilt toward East Tennessee State. They've got better looking players over there, simple as that. They're what I call 1AA. I can't remember all the initials that we are right now, but they're just 1AA, is what I think. And I know Maryville College is Division III. I know that. But the majority of you all are on the same page with me right now. So anyway, I did not know what to expect, but when I saw it, I just went with my eye and said, you know what, that team over there will win the game tonight. And I didn't, of course I was in the stands, my son was on the sidelines, and I never shared that with him. I didn't want to tell him that. But the game started, and it's going, and at one point, this is what really, I guess, showed a picture. The right offensive guard for East Tennessee State was 6'8", 315 pounds. All right, you know what? That's common today. It really is. 6'8", 350. Now, I shouldn't say it's common, but there's a lot of them out there. There's a lot of them out there. There really are. And the defensive tackle in front of him was 5'7", 265 pounds. And it was, hey, listen, we're in the third quarter and it's tied. No, I'm sorry, we just went to the fourth quarter and it's 21-21. And people at Maryville, all 50 of us, and the rest of them are there, we're thinking, you know what are we doing here? You know, how are we still in this ball game? And that kid beats third down and long, and they run a draw, and he beats the big kid across his face, and he gets up and kisses both forearms. There you are, friend. There you are. Anyway, Maryville ends up winning the game in the fourth quarter touchdown, and they outfought them. They simply outfought them. Now, that's an old program. Maryville College has been around since dirt. They have been around forever. They just outfought them. East Tennessee have got some good coaches. I looked across the field. There's Carl Tulbush, somebody help me, Mike O'Kane, and a number of experienced coaches. They're coming. You watch and see. They're coming. They're coming. Harold will be playing here pretty soon, and they'll be fighting. They surely will. Programs do that. They've got good people over there. But it was refreshing to see somebody that wasn't supposed to win. They were not supposed to win. And they, you know what? I don't think anybody told them. They didn't believe it. I see those guys, and they were a bunch of 5'7" guys over there. Just all kinds of them. But it was encouraging. Of course, my son thought he pulled them through. Dad, what you think? You know, he points at me from the sidelines and all that kind of stuff. But it was fun. And I say that for, hey, when I look at records here, they're not what we want. Coach said, this is not what we want. You know what? What you do is you keep going. You keep going. And I'm not here to be a philosopher, but there's no other choice. You keep going. You keep fighting. And I've said this before, if it's not hard, you're not doing it right. You're not. We're 0-3 right now, going to play another 0-3 team next week, or tonight. It will be a battle. It will be a battle. It will probably be ugly, but it will be a battle. I hope it's a battle. The last 2 weeks, it's not been pretty for us. We've played one good half in 2 ball games. We scored even. We were even score for score with Faith Christian. I brought my offensive line. They've done a good job of protecting. Will Price, stand up. Joshua Moore, stand up. And Jack Kerber, stand up. That's my 2 guards, my center, and they are fighters. And I appreciate it. All right, you guys sit down there. But we got to have a whole game of that to have a chance to be even tonight. So, anyway, I've said that. After our first game, I was disappointed. I said, I need somebody that's going to fight. I need somebody that's going to fight. I feel like they're fighting. I feel like they're fighting. Now, we played this past, no, we didn't play this past Friday. We played this past Monday. I think it's the first time I've ever had a whole game canceled on a Friday night. Some of y'all lived through that. I think Clemson lived through that. They had to, they played Saturday morning, and we went Monday. It didn't help one bit to take 2 days off. It didn't help us one bit to take 2 days off. Played poorly, really. And they know that. There's no secrets here. They know secrets. And we got to come back. The greatest thing about football, it's still the hardest thing you can do, and it gives you an opportunity to come back. It really does. And you can look in the mirror and say, and I tell these guys, look in the mirror and say, who am I? Is this who I am? Is this who I am? Am I going to accept this? And that's really good for life, too. It really, really is. But anyway, hey, we'll be down in Somerton, South Carolina tonight, playing Clarendon Hall. Again, they're 0-3. We're 0-3. We need a victory. If you don't have anything to do, you're welcome to come down to Somerton here tonight. But anyway, thank you all so much here. We hope to have a victory here tonight. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, coaches, and good luck to everybody. I know the Blue Hawks got to get out of here and go to work. Our speaker today joined a legendary group of men last year when he was named the play-by-play announcer, the voice of the Clemson Tigers. Previously, he had been the play-by-play for Clemson baseball. And I found out today, as Clemson prepares to play Appalachian State tomorrow, I found out today he is a graduate of Appalachian State. He said his wife is also a graduate. She's got a App State pin on one side and Clemson pin on the other. So we're excited to have him today. Please welcome the voice of the Clemson Tigers, Don Munson.
Thank you very much. It's good to be with you all here in Lawrence. Yes, App State grad of 1984, so yes, I've been getting it from all my buds that have been, as I get ready for the broadcast tomorrow at Clemson. Wife is a 1985 graduate, so and I was actually the play-by-play voice at Appalachian from the winter of '84 all the way through 1991, so very deep roots in Boone, North Carolina. But tomorrow, I'll be cheering against the black and the gold. Believe me, it'll be all about the orange and white. I like to kind of start things off just with a couple of quotes, and then we'll kind of tie it all up at the end. First of all, one from Proverbs. As a man thinketh, so is he. I want you to remember that. Secondly, one of the things that Coach Sweeney has that hangs in our indoor practice facility is when you do the common things in life in an uncommon way, you demand the attention of the world. And then finally, don't let somebody with their dirty feet walk through your mind. So I just want to kind of hang on to those three and kind of remember those as I go through this here this afternoon. First of all, let me tell you, obviously, things at Clemson are pretty good right now. In fact, things at Clemson are very good right now. Anytime that you're a program that you've won 42 games in the last 4 years, you open up this season, of course, with a big victory over Wofford, a team that you're supposed to beat, a team that you do handle, and now getting ready for a team like Appalachian State. But 42 wins over the last 4 years. There's only 4 other programs in the entire country, that have won 10 games in a season each of the last 4 years. Clemson's one of those 5. The other 4 that are out there. Alabama, as you might expect. Boise State is one of those teams as well. Northern Illinois, surprisingly, is one of those teams as well. But you know what? Winning doesn't come easy. I think that a lot of times that people think that winning comes easy. You can ask any of these coaches here, any of these players here, they'll tell you, it is anything but. Winning does not come easy. It comes with a price. It comes as part of a culture, part of a mindset, part of a belief system that is in. That's one of the things that really Coach Sweeney has done ever since he took over on an interim basis in 2008 and has built the program to where it is right now. He has certainly changed the culture, changed the belief system that had been at Clemson over not just a period of 2 or 3 years, but really a period of maybe 20 years or more. But he's been able to come in and get things done. He's done it because he's been able to recruit really good players. There is great talent that is at Clemson. You take a look at Clemson right now and you think about what they have at quarterback. A kid that's just a sophomore. He's only started 9 games in his entire, actually, excuse me, he's only started 6 games. He's played in 9 games. You think about Deshaun Watson, and everybody, you mention the name of Deshaun Watson to a Clemson football fan, or really to any football fan here in the state of South Carolina, and even some across the country, you mention that name and you think about a kid that he's out there winging the ball all over the place. He's got all these frisbee catching dogs that are out there at wide receiver and all that kind of stuff. He's throwing for 300 yards a game. But you go and you look at his numbers, and it's really not that. He plays within the system. Coming into last weekend's game, as a matter of fact, he was throwing on an average of around 180 yards per game in his 5 previous starts, in his 8 previous games. Last week, he didn't even throw for 200 yards. But he got the job done, was able to kind of turn it over and let a guy like Nick Schuessler get a little bit of time, a guy like Kelly Bryant, who's going to be extraordinarily special before it's all said and done, get a little bit of time as well. Take a look also over on that defensive side of the football. Clemson comes off of a season, obviously, where they're the #1 defense in all of college football. The #1 defense in all of college football. They've lost 10 players off of that side that have gone on with a shot to play in the NFL, and several of them obviously have stuck in the National Football League. You take a look at rosters right now in the National Football League, there are 35 players from Clemson. Charlie Whitehurst being the oldest, but there are 35 players from Charlie to guys like Grady Jarrett, Stephon Anthony, a guy like Tavares Barnes, who's on the 53, a guy like Adam Humphries, who is on the 53 with the Tampa Bay Bucks. But we got 35 players right now that are on NFL rosters. And there could be a few more that get picked up as the season goes along. But all of that, again, part of the culture, part of the belief system that Coach Sweeney has instilled in these guys. And one of the things that he's really instilled in these guys, and high school guys, I want you to listen to this because this is important. As Coach Sweeney would say, run your antennas up, because what I'm about to say, I want you to hear. The reason he's done it is because of academics. It isn't because of things, but it's because he has made academics important to his football team. Coach Sweeney has had 120 seniors that have come through the program, that have actually reached their senior year, that have come through, haven't left early, that have come through. Out of those 120, 114 have their degree from Clemson University. It's part of the mindset. You look at the team commandments, the team commandments that are in our team meeting room, that are in every locker room, and at Clemson in the football locker room, in every locker. The #1 commandment is go to class, be engaged. That's the #1 commandment. Winning and all that kind of stuff, you won't find it. You will not find it on the team commandments. It's just not there. But there's 16 team commandments, and they're really the backbone of what Clemson has. Going into this weekend, obviously against Appalachian State, you got a team like Appalachian State that's coming in. They've won 7 games in a row. That's the 5th longest winning streak in the entire country. 7 games. It's the 5th longest winning streak that there is right now in all of college football. The longest, obviously, Ohio State with 14. And I don't know about you, but I was born in 1962. And I can remember growing up as a kid, late 60s, 70s. Remember those Oklahoma juggernaut teams that Bud Wilkerson had? Oklahoma. If I mention Oklahoma back in those days was winning 50 in a row. 50 games in a row. I mean, they were just an absolute juggernaut. Tom Osborne at Nebraska was doing a similar type of thing. They had a winning streak, I think, where they went for like 33, 37 in a row. The day and age has kind of changed a little bit. 14 games in a row is the longest winning streak right now. Clemson's won 4 in a row. You know that's the 9th longest winning streak in the entire country? The 9th longest winning streak in the entire country. 4 games. Winning's not easy, my friends. And sometimes we think that it does come easy, but it doesn't. It's a mindset. It's about a belief in yourself. And one of the things that Coach Sweeney brings into his room each and every day when he's meeting with a team are 2 signs. One that just says, simply believe. That's all it says. He's been ever since he took over the program in 2008. Walked right in there, put that belief sign down on the front lectern where he was talking. The other one that he carries in is one that says, it can't be done, but the can't and the T is crossed out because it can be done. It's all a mindset. It's all about belief in yourself. That's why I'm going back to the quotes that I started with. As a man thinketh, so is he. You know, if you think good thoughts, if you think positively, sometimes Coach Sweeney is kind of leaned upon that he's too much of a positive guy, that he's always trying to accentuate the good and never looking at the bad. Well, there's a reason for that. Because people like good. They don't like bad. None of you like bad. None of you want to come to a game and see your team lose. None of them. But you have to accentuate the positive inside your program. Even when you lose, always be accentuating the positive. Guys that are here that are playing games tonight, don't go into that game tonight hoping that you're going to win. Because if you're hoping that you're going to win, it ain't going to get done. You have to go in believing that you're going to win. You have to have that belief system in yourself, in your teammates. Now, you can only do your job. That's all that a coach asks you. Every coach in here will tell you, that's all that a coach can ask you. Just do your job. Do your job. Don't try to do somebody else's job. Don't try to do the guy beside you, the guy behind you, the guy in front of you. You do your job. And guess what? If all 11 of you on the field at the same time are doing your job, good things are going to happen. Good things are going to happen from that aspect. Appalachian State will come in here. They got a guy at quarterback named Taylor Lamb. Bobby Lamb, a lot of you probably know that name. Bobby, obviously, a great player at Furman. Was a coach at Furman. Now he's heading up the Mercer program down in Macon, Georgia, and is rebuilding that program actually from scratch as they get it going. Bobby, an excellent role model. His son is an excellent player. Taylor is a really, really good player. App State's going to come into Clemson tomorrow with not the belief system of hoping that they can win, but they're going to come in there underneath the guidance of Scott Satterfield, believing that they can win. Scott was a guy that he played his college football at App State, graduated from there in '96, and then he was the offensive coordinator for Jerry Moore back when Appalachian State won back-to-back national titles, 2005, 2006, 2007. He was calling all those shots. He was running the offense at that time. They opened up last year. Believe me, the beginning of the year did not go well for the Mountaineers of Appalachian State. They were 1-5 after 6. And all of a sudden, they put together a 6-game winning streak with a very young football team. They come right out of the gate, win their opener last week against Howard by a score of 49-0. They've won 7 in a row. They're believing in themselves. They've got confidence in themselves. They know that they can come in and do this. The thing with Michigan back in 2007 is still a resounding factor for them because they have not only a head coach that was their part of it, but they have some other coaches on that staff who are also a part of that and help mold that team into a way that they had a belief system that they could go to Michigan and that they could go to win. And that's exactly what they did in the Big House, winning 34-32, and maybe the most monumental upset in all of college football. I think there's certainly is an argument for that. But Clemson's going to come in ready. They're going to come in ready. They're going to come in they're going to come in defensively ready. Even though there's only 4 starters back on this Clemson football team, what you have seen under Brent Venables, you saw it in Game 1, you're going to see it in Game 2, and you'll see it in Games 3 through what we hope are 15. Because the object is to finish this thing off, hopefully in Phoenix in the early part of January. But what you're going to see from Coach Venables' team is a guy that are 11 guys that are out in the field, best is the standard, each one of them doing their job depending upon the guy that is either to their left, to the right, in front or behind, doing their job, and they're going to get it done. Can this be the #1 defense in the country again? Who knows? Difficult goal to attain to. But I can tell you that's what the guys believe. The guys believe that they can be that that number 1 defense. I'll be shocked if they're not in the top 15 when it's all said and done. They've got really good talent on the edges, and Shaq Lawson, also in Kevin Dodd, a kid that's right up the road in Greenville, really good linebackers, and Bolware and Goodson. But they've got guys in the defensive backfield that are just sick. I mean, they are ridiculously good. It starts with Mackenzie Alexander at one of the corners, who probably is the best cornerback in all of college football. I really believe that. Got 2 safeties in T.J. Green and J-Ron Kearse. T.J., a career high last week, 13 tackles, 2.5 tackles for a loss. Made a great play at the goal line to try to keep Wofford out of the end zone at the end of the first half of play. J-Ron, he had 12 tackles in last week's game as well. Those 2 safeties, they're big, they're fast, they're mean, and they're nasty. And they'll come at you. They'll come at you to hit you from that standpoint. So I think it would be a good game tomorrow in the Valley, but I'll be surprised really if Clemson doesn't separate themselves a little bit from that. You know, I think that most of the people coming in the stadium probably feel like this can be a double-digit victory for Clemson. But I guarantee you, App State does not think that. And that's not the. I can also tell you that Coach Sweeney been in every team meeting with him this week. He'll tell you, and he tells the team about this about every opponent. If you don't think that they can beat you, you better think again. But if we don't let Clemson beat Clemson, that's always one of the other mantras that Coach Sweeney has. Don't let Clemson beat Clemson. Don't beat yourself. Go out there, take care of business. We'll see how it stands. And then, of course, the quick turnaround for Louisville. But nobody right now is looking ahead of that Louisville game on Thursday. One of the other real key components that Coach Sweeney has within his program, and I'll say this as I kind of wrap this up, but it's something that I certainly believe is true in my life, and I hope that it's true in your life, that you have some kind of religion's foundation in your life. Because believe me, at some point in time, you're going to need it. You're absolutely going to need it. My wife and I were married in May of 1984. I was only out of school for about 2 weeks, and we got married. I didn't have a job. I wouldn't recommend that to anybody, by the way. But I didn't even have a job. We go off on a honeymoon. We're gone for about 2 weeks as a young couple. You know, we're living up life, and then we come back and we go on an outing with our youth group from our church. And I happen to pick a tick off of me, and then wouldn't you know it, 3 days later, I'm in the hospital. And I'm in the hospital with, when I first checked in, my temperature was at 102. 2 days later, it was at 106. Stayed at 106 for about a period of about 4 or 5 days. They put me on a cooling blanket, and they would actually run chilled water that was underneath me in my body. It would drop my core temperature down to 98 degrees, but then 4 hours later, it would spike back to 106. There's 5 days in there I have no recollection of, but spent 10 days in the hospital. But I can tell you, when I finally came back to my senses and you know, my wife could have been a widow. There was, at one point, apparently they did come to her and said, listen, your husband's fighting for his life. You know, you need to prepare yourself for the worst. But she wouldn't do it. And I have to believe that it was something that even though I wasn't conscious, that I had a grasp of because of faith that I had, that, you know, this wasn't where it was going to end for me, that God had a bigger and better plan for my life. And He does. He's got a big and better plan for your life as well. And I hope that you believe that. I hope that you grasp hold of that. That you realize that the sacrifice that God has made for you. Because you think about giving up a child. If any of you are parents here and you give up your child, none of us want to think about that. But that's exactly what God did for us. He gave up His only Son to die on a cross for our sins, to cover our mistakes. He that was infallible became fallible, but He became it for us. And then, not only did He die, but He conquered death. And He's gone, and He's preparing a place for us, and He's going to come back again. That's the belief system that I have. I hope that you believe that. I really do. I hope that you grasp hold of that. Let me end with, and I kind of want to talk to coaches that are here. Let me end this. One of my favorite coaches of all time is a guy named Morgan Wooten. I don't know if any of you in the room know who Morgan Wooten was. Great basketball coach at DeMatha High School in the Washington, D.C. area. The Catholic school that was there has produced all kinds of talent that has come out of DeMatha. One of his quotes was, though, "You are the real teachers. You have these children when they're at their emotional peaks and lows, that's when they're most pliable. That's when you can form them. That's when you can get your hands on them and mold them the best. It doesn't take any intelligence to send a kid home with his head hanging between his knees, but to send him home with his head up every night. If you do that, it shows a little coaching. Coaches, I would tell you, grasp hold of that. Fans, I would also tell you, grasp hold of that. Whoever you support, do it in a positive manner. Don't do it in a negative manner. Don't be a guy that is tearing down. Be a guy that is building up. I've seen that be so successful at Clemson. I've seen that be really the foundation of what Coach Sweeney is doing at Clemson University at this point in time. Be a guy that is always building up. Don't be that person that's tearing down. We've got too much of that in our country as it is. We think about today. Today in particular, and what happened 14 years ago today in New York. It was people that wanted to tear down. They struck a blow to us. And it was marvelous to see how this country rallied at that time. Coming together, looking to God. Churches were full at that time. It was amazing. When you're at your bottom, that's when you start looking to the highest. And that's exactly what it was. We've kind of turned away from that. This country can do that again. We can do it right here. It can start with each and every one of us. Hope that you're always positive in what is going on. It is a privilege. It is an honor for me to serve at Clemson and to be appointed this position and to have a voice where I can talk to the fans each and every week on a radio. It's amazing to me that I get to do this job. I try to do it in the most positive way that I possibly can. If you need to contact me, you can most certainly do so. All my contact information is on our website at clemsontigers.com. You just go to the staff page. You'll find my phone number. You'll find my email. Hunt me down. There's something I can do for you. If you want to come to Clemson, just take a look. Contact me. Be glad to take you around and show you around campus. Again, I thank Ray for having me here. It's a pleasure to be with you. Hope that God blesses this day and the rest of your days that you're here. Thank you very much.
Appreciate that, Don.